Eric. Eric, Shalom. First and foremost, we're going to give all praise, glory, and honor to
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakodash.
the honors to the elder apostles, great millstone, who were well, and salutation, much love, the Akim out there, pushing out his word and truth and sincerity. For us from great millstone, Tampa, back with another live lesson, Lord's will. It's edifying to the hopeful elect. We're just going to go in the spirit. As a matter of fact, let me see if I still got it. I got an article I was looking at yesterday. Yep, it's still here. This is on insider.com. This is the title of the article. It says, a man with ALS who can't use his hands got a brain implant that lets him text, shop online, hence buying, right? And play games just by thinking. It could be a game changer. So, they pretty much just go into him, Mr. Philip O'Keefe, ALS, which I forget what exactly that stands for. It's pretty much he's a paraplegic, in other words. But let me just Google it real quick. ALS stands. Let me check that because I forgot it. Okay, it's amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. In other words, this nigga can't move his hands. So what? Hey, that's why the scriptures talk about a mark in their head, forehead, or in their hands. Hey, look, you paraplegic, that ain't gonna stop you from buying and selling. Just get this, as this man got an implant in his brain, okay, or what they call it, brain implant that he can still buy. This nigga don't even have to lift a finger. But let me just read a little bit of this. It says Philip O'Keefe does a lot of things around the house these days without lifting a finger. See, that's the devil for you. Like Paul Tahar said in one of his recent videos, Esau gonna present this MOTB deceitfully and conveniently. It says he can turn the lights on and off in any room, pay his bills, shop online, see friends with Zoom, or play a game of solitaire or mahjong, whatever that is. It says, and he does it all using only his brain. O'Keefe has, they had it in here. It says, has amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, also known as ALS, which makes it nearly impossible to use his hands to type or text. But because of a new device implanted, going into Karax, implanted inside the blood vessels at the top of his head, he can harness his thoughts to propel the computer's actions. Click, zoom in, move the mouse right, move it left. The device is also called a stentrode. Stentrode, and it's one of the very first implantable mind-reading brain-computer interferences. And that's the mark of the beast for you, man. You see the miracles that this devil is working. And again, he's trying to be as the Most High. Well, Yahweh sent Yahushai to work those kind of miracles, man, to make the lame walk, the lame, the dumb, the blind, the deaf. He would heal them. But now Esau's he is doing it in the means of on the left hand side through his witchcraft, his miracles, which is ultimately it's all through the Most High. But just like he has the technology to make nuclear destruction, well, the Most High had that. He's already used it. It says it just goes into him. He's Australian. It says is one of fewer than 40 people worldwide to have a functioning BCI device implanted in their skull. Then it just goes on talk about the nonsense of Edom. But go ahead, brothers. What do you got?
I also pulled it up on on Google and read a little bit of this and hit a precept that says amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, which is going to the ALS. It says is a fatal type of motor neuron disease. It is characterized by progressive degeneration of nerve cells in the spinal cord and brain. It's often called Lou Gehrig's disease. Yep.
Which was a baseball player that developed that, and that's why they named it after him, because that nigga was through up there on the mound trying to swing the bat. and he couldn't do it. But what now and today, that was back in the early 1900s, maybe 40s at the latest. It was early, you know. But now they can fix that. Now you can go keep playing in the MLB. Just take this chip, you know, because you can buy with it. That's the main purpose that the scriptures talk about. The mark is buying and selling.
Yeah.
You know, so it clearly this chip allows you not only to actually use the computer because it doesn't allow you to, you know, this nigga's not just gonna stand up and just start dancing. No, but he can do things just thinking of it. You know. So, and what is the main thing he can do is buy and sell. You know, he can turn the lights on because everything's smart devices now. Smart toaster, smart fridge, smart lights. It's all hooked up to the internet. And you getting that device implanted in you, then you become part of the internet. And that's what the devil wants, man.
I got something real quick back to brother's point up. It's like Psalms 14:1. To the chief musician, the Psalm of David, the fool have said in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt, and that's the point. They have done abominable works. There is none that do it good, and that's an abominable work. There is none that do it good. You know, here it is. You're trying to profess that you are the Most High, man. You see, because like the brother said, that's a beautiful point, man. Having the ability to provide food and shelter, you know, right? You trying to put yourself on a level that you're a God, man. Okay, but it's all abominable, man.
Yeah, and the scriptures say that. He says, I sit as the Most High, you know. So he's showing himself to be the Most High through these miracles, man. He can do this, he can do that. Nothing's impossible with him, right? That's like scripture say there's nothing impossible with Yahweh Shai. Well, that's what Esau's trying to show himself as. He got all the answers. He can heal anything. Which all his healings come with side effects. So is it really healing you? You have more on that?
That was it. Yeah.
All right, finish this up. It says ALS does not affect mental functioning or the senses such as seeing or hearing, and is not contagious. Currently, there is no cure for this disease. But it said currently there is no cure for this disease.
Except for the implant.
Exactly. You know, so that's him deceiving them by his miracle. So jump right into Revelation chapter 13. I start at verse 11, read on down. It says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. All right, this is going into America, you know, also known as Babylon the Great in the scriptures. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, which is Rome, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship him.
Right, so it said he exercises the same power, which was the democracy, you know, all the same shit you see today. How America's run. They got all that from the first beast, which was the ancient Roman Empire. You know, they just 2.0, so to say, Rome 2.0. Now they got fancy ties and you know the means of media, social media, and this and that. But it's the same bullshit. They work exercising the same power that they exercised back then. You know, they had a government set up with Senate, two parties, and a president, or back then it was Caesar.
Yep.
But it's the same shit.
And causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, like we just mentioned, that was Rome, whose deadly wound was healed. You know, and it was that wound was healed after the 1,000 years period, after 1,000 years, you know, going to the time of the Renaissance. Verse 13, he doeth great wonders, so that he make a fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. You know, you can link that like that into the missiles, you know, going to Hiroshima, you know, over there in Japan, you know, and this is also another great miracle that he's doing by bringing forth these implants. All right. Verse 14, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles. You see, so because that article said that there's no cure for the ALS, but what he said, I got something that can help you. You know, that you can order things, what to say, you can pay his bills, turn on the lights.
Shop online.
Exactly. You know, because that goes into degeneration of the neurons, your nervous system.
Yeah, he can't go to the store. But now Walmart to bring the fucking food into your fridge. Literally, I seen the van the other day come over here down the street. It was a Walmart electric van, and then on the back it said we can deliver it to your door, your garage, or your fridge. I'm like, damn, these niggas are coming to your house and putting your groceries in there for you. So this nigga just thinking in his mind, saying, look, all he gotta do is roll over here, you know, and he probably got a electric wheelchair or some shit that he could probably control with his mind too. He just got to roll in front of the TV, you know, just move his eyes and the mouse moves with it. Order the food from Walmart and they just stop the fridge for him. So you know, he saw, hey, this is the new world order, man. This is the mark of the beast system being presented to you. It's very soon. It's going to be mandatory though.
And it's true, because I was watching on Hulu, they got their little ads and commercials and shit, but that was one of the commercials that they had. Well, Walmart coming, and you seen the Walmart people restocking your refrigerator.
In your fridge, bro. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
This is the world we live in, bro. You don't even have to, and that's all been being conditioned as of the last 2 years, man. Stay home, get paid, just stay home. Well, now you can stay home, and you don't even have to go to the grocery store. They'll send someone to your houses to literally put the shit in your fridge. Like, what? But that's all going to become a snare, man. That's all. That's what it is. It's a snare. It's a trap. Because you know, hey, who wouldn't want that? You know, we want that because we got a royal mindset, but we wanted a righteousness, not that we got to get a chip to get, you know, have niggas stock our fridges. We just want that because we want slaves. But that's what he's getting people geared to. Look how convenient it is. You ain't even got to go to the store no more. Fuck the lines, waiting in line and maybe catching some disease out there. Hell, you can just get this thing and you don't have to never leave your house again. Just live in get your Oculus, you know, goggles, and you can just live at home and, you know, never leave the house.
And they showed that on iRobot to back you up with Will Smith. In the time, I don't know if that was like his auntie or his grandma.
Yeah, something like that. Grandma, I think. So anyway,
But before that robot actually turned on her, it was what,
doing groceries for her, cutting it. You remember the nigga was nigga was chopping them vegetables up.
Yeah, but when it came time, when it came time, where they was like, please stay in your house.
Yeah, you can't leave.
Yeah,
They turn red. When they turn red.
Yeah.
But remember, they went from blue to red. Remember, the spirit of Edom came out.
Yeah, they was actually on the street
Mm-hmm.
patrolling. Hey, what, you had sedition then? You had people coming together, you know. Man, it's gonna get real, man. That's really what the brother's saying is straight out of the Bible. You know, it's getting ready to get real. Esau's getting ready to bring his full-fledged technology on you, Jake.
Right, you worried about what Kanye and Kyrie got to say. This nigga doing all this shit behind the scenes, boy. You know, making all this, which he's been doing, you know, but it's getting more and more pronounced. And at this point, shit, you know, their technology is here, man. It's been here. He's just been slowly integrating it into your everyday life. You don't even know it. Right under your nose, as they say. As they say, it's bad hit in plain sight. So everybody's accustomed to this technology by now. So you don't even think twice. Shit, this gas station right here, the Circle K, you don't even need, you can just grab the items, go to the machine, put it down, and it takes pictures of it, and that's it. You just cash out. You don't need to interact with nobody. And so, you know, then you scan the card or whatever. So, hey, how much easier would it be if you didn't need the card? That's how they're gonna push this, man. And with this whole social credit, you know, the environmental score, all that, or carbon footprint, you know, in the homegrown terrorism, all these things are all targeted pushing towards the mark of the beast, man.
Yeah, they got the system set up like you being served, because they bring these things to you, but truly you're becoming the servant. Because ultimately, you know, cash has been done away with, and you to do all these things that these people getting accustomed to doing, you're going to have that mark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Because I've been earlier this week I was studying you know, money, how it works and where does it really come from, what is money. The average person doesn't know what money is. They think that just because you got a dollar bill, that actually means you got money. Which obviously we know that because we know it's not backed by anything since the gold standard was taken away. But it's even deeper than that, bro. The banks themselves, the banks you go to take your money to, supposed money, they don't even deal with that. But you know, it's a whole nother topic. But because remember these banks like TD Bank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, all these banks, where do they get their money from? With central banks. You can't go to the central bank, whether it's the Federal Reserve, the Central Bank of China, the Central Bank of Iran, Central Bank or the Bank of England. You as an average day person, you can't just walk up into the central bank and open up an account. But the banks do. That's where they get their money from. However, it's not in USD, it's not in yens, it's not in pounds, British pounds or euros. It's a whole different currency, which is digital. It's called a central bank currency, and only banks have access to that. And, I sent that video out. I don't know if brothers watched it earlier this week. It's a whole. So whenever you let's say I'm using Wells Fargo, and I'm paying you, you got Bank of America. What they do is they just deduct money that's not even real, because most of the money is digital now. It's digital now. Because think about it, how you get paid. They don't pay you in cash. They don't pay you in checks. They pay you in direct deposits, which is all digital numbers that don't really exist. So let's say I'm paying you $100, right? So I got to go from Wells Fargo to Bank of America. Well, what the banks got to do is they got to take that, all right, that transaction that we just made, and take it to the central bank, and then use that currency that they use and transfer it from one bank to another bank. So they don't even deal with US dollar, man. The banks don't even deal with dollars. With your dumb asses over here making it rain because you think you're rich. But that's the thing. They've been doing that since the gold standard. They got rid of the gold standard because they've been making things digitally, and it all started with that the notes. Now that okay, you got 3 ounces of gold at the bank. Boom. Here's a note for it, and you can use this note to either come back to the bank and get that 3 ounces of gold, or you can just give that to whoever you're buying something from. So let's say you were buying something worth 3 ounces of gold to someone, you can give them that note, just like you give somebody $1 today. So you would be able to give them that note back in the 40s or the 30s, whatever. You give them that note, and they could take that note and go to the bank and get that 3 ounces of gold. Now, what does the money say? It's a debt note. Going to show you that's not money. It's debt note. So you can't take that to the bank and get some money. What can you do with it though? You can take that money, right, that $1 bill, and take it to the bank, and what do they do with it? You can deposit it, and that's about it. And then what do they do when you deposit that money? They send it back to the feds, which they burn that money. So, and then they'll print new money. So all the money that's out in the actual physical fiat currency, paperbacks, as they say, it's all recycled. They're not print like when they say, oh, they're just printing trillions of dollars. No, they're not, because that money doesn't even exist either way. They just they're reprinting the money people take to the banks, or when you go to the store, what do you think the store does with your money? They don't keep it. They take it to the bank. They deposit it to their bank that they deal with, and guess what the bank does with it? Takes it back to the feds, and that's why the Fed's able to print $3 trillion in paper money, because they got $3 trillion circulating the system or whatever. But the purpose is, the main point is that the banks don't even use that money to buy and sell things. The banks don't use the USD paperback currency to buy things. They use, when I say that, I mean between each other, because again, everything is a transaction between banks, because that's where your money's at. So they got to transfer, but their commerce, so to say, is with central bank currency, which you can't get an account there unless you on a level. And then another thing is loans. That's how they make money out of thin air. You go to the bank, and the bank will say, okay, yeah, we've approved you for $20,000. That's them printing money out of thin air, because they know they're gonna make money off of that. So they just print it off of thin air, and you got to pay them back. So it's all bullshit. It's just money. The money we use it's not even real. But what they're moving towards is getting rid of these banks, and you have to deal directly with the central banks. That's what this digital CBDC is going to come into, because they're going to get rid of Bank of America. They're going to get rid of your mom and pop small banks, private bank, all these banks of this and banks of that. Small banks, I'm talking about SunTrust and Truist and Bank of America, Wells Fargo. All of that's going to be done away with. That's why you've been seeing them close up branches. Why? Because there's going to be a direct link between the consumer and the central bank. That's why, hence CBDC, central bank digital currency. So instead of you going, the middleman is the bank you go to, and where you keep your money at. They're getting rid of that, and it's going to be direct link with that digital currency that they've had for years now. But they've been dealing. The CBDC the central bank's been dealing with the banks. That's why they remember 2008, 2009, 2007. They had them big bailouts. Of course, they had to bail them out because that's what keeps the economy going. That's what keeps the country going. The banks. The government doesn't just print their own money. They got to go to the banks. So, of course, they had to bail them out. But now, what Esau's doing, he's going to get rid of the banks, the middleman, so to say. And he's going to attach the consumer directly to the central bank. And that's where the chip's going to come into play. It's all lining up. If you really understand, once you start, because I didn't know this shit. I was just watching this recently. And this is a documentary from 10 years ago. I'm like, damn. Now I see why CBDs all of a sudden are starting to come up and why they never mentioned none of this, because they didn't want you to know that there was a middleman between you and the central banks. But now it's not going to be a middleman. You're going to be, and if you don't want to deal with the central banks, then what are you going to do? There ain't no banks to go to get money anymore. You can't make money out of thin air as they've been doing. You can't get no more loans unless you go to the central banks. And then you're going to have a chip to do that. Go ahead, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, just real quick to back you up out there and cutting out the middleman. That's why the faith is going to have to be a big factor in the times we're coming into. You see what I'm saying? Because the scriptures say he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor.
It doesn't matter at this point. You can be rich as hell, but guess what? Even rich niggas got bank accounts, but it ain't with the central bank. That's the point. The only banks can have accounts with the central bank. And we're talking about JP Morgan, billionaires. Yeah, we're talking about billionaires can only have access to the central bank, but they're gonna cut that off.
Yeah, man. Getting rid of middleman. Period, man. That's why it says he calls it all. So, like the brother said, man, that it's coming to the forefront. Why? Because at the end it shall speak. So this is the image, man. This is the mark, the image. Okay, so. We at the time where the Lord is showing us that, bro, we almost out of here. Because once he make that mandated, okay, that's simultaneously as the salvation of the elect is right behind it, man. See what I'm saying?
And you'll no longer be able to be paid at work unless you get down with this new system.
So be pretty much cut off from society already. That's what the Lord is doing with us. He already getting us off of the grid through the Spirit. Already girding us up in the Spirit, so that way when society do collapse, you already attached to the Spirit, be ready to go.
We're going to need to depend on money at that point.
Right.
Now obviously money's a defense because that's how we get through, in this wicked ass world. But at that point, the Lord is going to be our defense. We're not going to have to worry about paying bills. The Lord's going to provide for His servants, man.
And it's coming quickly because the fiat currency, going into is not backed by anything specifically going into like gold or silver, but it's pretty much just backed by your government.
Yeah, well, it's backed by that and the belief in it. Because what's the difference between a $100 bill and a $1 bill? Nothing. It's both printed on the same piece of paper. There's no difference in weight. There's no difference in anything. It's just a piece of paper. And that's how that note started. All right, bring in 3 ounces of gold. We'll give you a piece of paper that says 3 ounces of gold. You got in the bank. But then they just started. Okay, yeah, well, shit. The banks they started catching on like shit. Well, let's just keep handing these pieces of papers out, saying people are bringing gold into the bank, AKA loans. So now they call it loans, but back then they were just handing them out as those notes. So nothing backing it. It's just your faith in that money, said money. But there's nothing, literally nothing backing. Oil, look, you can play some matches all you want. Oil is not backing this money. The petrodollar. Okay, so what? You telling me your $10 bill can get you some oil? Where that at? Where they do that at? Let me know. Some crude oil. Let me get $10 worth of crude oil. Shit, you can't even get 2 gallons of gas for $10. So it goes to show you that hyperinflation has begun, man, and it's only going to get to the point. I think the worst case ever was in Zimbabwe, where it got to a point where they were printing motherfuckers became trizillionaires. Not even shit you've never even heard of, trizillionaires, 18 zeros behind the one. It's gonna get, and then, you know, they're not gonna put, and that was years ago. I think it was like 2017, maybe. But that's when they were still printing money. Or obviously they still print money now, but they're not gonna print $100 million bills here in America. They're gonna tell you to come get a chip.
That's it.
See, because that's how people, that's how governments or countries cope with that, with hyperinflation. They just print, all right, $1 million bill, or it's gonna take $2 million to buy a loaf of bread, so we gotta print $1 million bills, and then you got a pocket full of $1 million bills, but that shit ain't worth nothing, really. But that's not gonna be the case very soon. They're not printing more. They're not printing a $500 bill in America. Them fresh, crisp blue $100 bills is the last you gonna see. There ain't gonna be no increase. They're gonna come out with their chips very soon, man. Because it just doesn't make sense. According to Esau, it doesn't make sense to keep printing money.
Right.
We're killing the earth. You know, greenhouse gases, all this bullshit just to push you towards the chip, man.
A quick one, back you up. Isaiah 52 and verse 3. For thus saith the Lord Yahweh, ye have sold yourselves for naught, and ye shall be redeemed without money. So Jake out here selling out, man. You know, you sold yourselves for naught, man. It is, the brother said, blues, you know. It don't matter, bro, because at the end of the day, the currency.
Yeah, monopoly money.
Yeah, it's monopoly, bro. It's monopoly, bro.
What's the difference between the actual board game monopoly money? Same colors if you look at it.
Right.
$10 bills yellow,
Yeah.
$100 bills blue. There's no difference. It's just paper.
And it's at the end it says, and ye shall be redeemed without money. You know what I mean? So, bro, you can't. That's why the scripture say they're gonna cast their riches, you know, gold and silver in the streets. It's not gonna buy you salvation at the end of the day. It don't matter what the fuck type of money it is. You know what type of currency? The currency is not gonna get you on the chariot. You know, we just here to prophesy and tell you that, look, this is how the Lord got this shit going down. It's fiat, and Babylon the Great is going to be exposed and destroyed. Huh?
Right. It doesn't. People fail to realize it. Once you really start digging how this system works, bro, that money you got in your pocket really doesn't even exist, bro. That's how ridiculous it is.
Yeah,
You think it's like you go to work and you think you're getting paid at the end of the week, bro. You're not even getting paid. It's just fictional characters, you know, just some shit they type in. Shit's not real, bro. But niggas would bend over backwards for this shit and sell their souls for it.
Get some pink shit put in you. You know?
What's this? Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Or goat. Small. But what does Chris say? What shall a man receive, sell his soul? Right? Rough paraphrasing.
Yeah.
You're not even getting, at least back in the day, niggas got mattresses full of money. Now that mattress full of money ain't gonna be nothing. That's gonna be a mattress, a comfy mattress maybe. But go ahead, though, sorry.
Oh God, and you know, just to back the brothers up, you know, the scriptures talk about how the money is not going to deliver them in the day of wrath. Okay, and as they were going into how Esau has all this, you know, orchestrated, this is all an illusion. You know, how they was going into what the blues, the $100 bills. The $1 bills, you know, $10 bills, all this don't really matter because it's all like he was going into the digitized debt.
Yeah.
Okay, all this is basically just in a whole illusion. All right, to keep these people snared. All right, to stay into the system.
Keep the wheel turning, the hamster wheel turning
Mm-hmm.
for something that doesn't even exist.
Exactly.
Because going to the Federal Reserve note, you know, like Brothers going into, the only reason why it's worth something because the Fed backs it up. Well, the Fed's not going to back up the dollar no more. You know, there's a reason why, you know, the interest rates can keep getting hiked up is because this is a controlled demolition. You know, the government has to ask the Fed to print the money.
Exactly.
You know?
And when the brother says Fed, he doesn't mean the federal government.
Yeah,
The Feds is the federal, on a dollar bill. Man, if somebody got a dollar bill or any kind of cash on you, it should say the Federal Reserve is what the brother's talking about. And read it, yeah, because we've been gone into this, but hey, this is the time to go into it again. Yeah, perfect. $1 bill says this note, well, at the very top in black highlighted, it says Federal Reserve notes. Somebody, somebody look up the word note.
All right, in the etymology or what?
Yeah, etymology,
I'm on it
N-O-T-E.
right now. I'm on it right now.
And then it says this note is legal tender for all debts, not for all transactions. but for all debts. So again, I mentioned earlier, how do they make money out of thin air?
Yeah.
With debt. You go to the bank and you ask for a loan, that's debt.
Exactly.
So they're able to print money out of thin air.
Yeah, because the Fed does that because America has to pay them back.
Exactly.
So-
That's why America's trillions of dollars in debt, because all governments, not just America, they run and operate through central banks. In this case, in America, it's the Federal, they call it the Federal Reserve, but every country has a central bank, whether it's called Bank of England, Central Bank of China, Central Bank of Russia. They all have to get their money. The government has to get their money. Think about it, who's paying the government? Well, they're not printing the money. They got to go to the banks. Just like a bank has to go to the central bank. That's why they have to bail out the banks. People are like, why are they bailing out the banks? Because if they didn't bail out the banks, the country would come to a screeching halt. It says, this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. And there's something else on here. And if you've noticed, for money, like I mentioned earlier, every time you take your money to the bank, they're going to burn it. You go to the store and give them your money, they're going to keep that money, put it in the bag at the end of the night, and in the morning they're going to take it to the bank and they're going to burn it. So if you've been noticing, unless some nigga's been keeping money under his mattress, you're not going to get money older than about 10 to 12 years old. There ain't no $80 money from the 80s left around unless a nigga's been drug dealing and keeping that money. You know, all the money all the money that's circulating, I'm talking about between in your bank account to the cash, it's only about 2 to 3% that's actually hard money. So the rest of that is digital. So we're almost there, bro. The 100% digital. You know, they've been doing this beginning with the notes that they gave for them gold when there was a gold standard. But somebody got that note?
Yeah, I got you. This is a note from the 1200s. It says to observe, take mental note.
What is it? Is that a verb or a noun?
You want the verb or the noun?
Oh, well, probably the noun.
The noun, all right. Okay, the noun from the 1300s says a song, melody, music, instrumental music, a bird song, a musical note of a definite pitch, a letter, character, note, a mark, a sign.
There you go, a mark. And what's going to be the new note? The mark of the beast. Because, you know, the notes, musical notes, it's talking about, that's the main one, but it's a mark or a sign, man. I mean, that makes perfect sense. It's telling you. So, you know, people say, oh, money is the mark of the beast. They're not 100% right. They're not telling you, but how are you going to access them notes?
Exactly.
How are you going to access that digital currency very soon? Well, you're going to have that chip implanted in you. Like we read earlier, this nigga, we got a brain implant able to pay his bills and shop online. And we already seen people, there's countless videos out there with niggas with chips in their hands buying, making transactions. Go ahead.
In order to be tapped into the society or tuned in with the melody, you have to have that mark. Just to back the brother up. So that's beautiful. You have to have that note, you know. And other than that, then you X out of society. You're waiting on your house shine, you know. It says a mark, sign, means of recognition has been connected to notice, meaning to come to know. So you're gonna have to know that this is the mark. That's what it is.
Yeah, the point is the mark, because it says in the dollar bill, it says this is a note for, you got it again? Yeah, let me see. It says, so I'll just change the word note for mark. It says, this mark is legal tender for all debts, public and private. And what is this is a mark right here. Or what's the other word? It said mark, and then what?
It says sign.
Sign. So here's a sign that I have money. I have something to give you that debt back, you know?
Because you need something for a barter system, so that note pretty much is a representation of something, you know what I'm saying, holding value. So
if people still don't understand how the system is worked, because they still think it's actually backed by something.
right.
Back then it was, oh look, I got 1 ounce of gold at the bank right here. Here's my proof. Here's the sign. Here's the mark that I have proof that I got what I'm saying I got, right? And then you can I can go to the bank and get the gold out, or you can go take this and get the gold out. Now it doesn't work like that. This is for debt. Now, it didn't say for gold. It didn't say legal tender for all gold or silver. It said legal tender for all debts. So if you got money in your pocket, guess what? You in debt. Automatically you in debt.
The new slave.
Yep.
Going back to that the scripture, it said, real quick, bring it back, Isaiah 52:3. For thus saith the Lord, ye have sold yourselves for naught. Here it is, Jake be flexing,
For not.
you know, what you
For legal tender,
Right.
as they call it.
Yeah, it says, and ye shall be redeemed without money. So, no, you ain't gonna make it through whatever currency, man. Jake, you know, but Jake don't have the spirit of Yahweh Shemel Shai. That's why I could say what is what's that John 14, who the world cannot receive. You see what I'm saying? This is what's separating us from the world. We have the true money. We have the true riches, man. You see what I'm saying? We understand the difference between having depths of riches of knowledge than having riches that can't save you, man. You know, because Jake sold his soul for that, man. You know, just for in his fiat. It don't exist. You know?
There's nothing backing it. There's nothing. You know, because again, real money is something tangible. Gold, silver, cattle. Anything, but a piece of paper? That's how brainwashed Esau has gotten the world to, where all you gotta do is have a piece of paper, that this will look the same, this is the same exact, it's same size, same thickness, same piece of paper that $100 bill is on. And people think there's a difference between it.
You believe it. You believe that.
It's only as strong as the belief people give it, you know, or the trust they put into it. But what now that says fallen, they got to change things up, you know.
Jump back to this Revelation chapter 13, verse 14 again. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by his sword, which had the wound by his sword, and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
Yeah, and if you go into that word there, and the root word of it, it goes into separate. All right, so that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna separate you from society, or ostracize you if you don't want to play ball with the system. If you don't want to worship the beast, his image, and receive his mark, then you're gonna be ostracized. Because what? You're not gonna be able to access the money system, which that's how the world. They got a saying: the money makes the world go round. Well, if you can't access the monetary system, what the hell are you gonna do?
How you gonna eat?
How you gonna eat? How you gonna work? How you gonna get paid? What they gonna pay you in shekels? No, they're gonna. Well, we can't hire you. That's gonna be on the application. Chip, yes or no. You sign, you put no. They're not even. You're not getting a call back.
They gonna pay you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry, but the new system. Well, look, we can't pay you through Bank of America no more. You gotta go straight to the central bank.
Yeah.
What you want me to do? That's what's coming, man. This time there ain't gonna be no bailouts for these banks. They're just gonna let them, you know, which obviously we know who that owns those banks too, you know. But you know they're gonna just allow them to go into the wayside, man. Get the owners a payout and then send them on their way, and then just close down the banks.
Because they're the ones funding it anyways. That's why they're
They're the ones that print. They're the ones that print or give out the fiat currency. Now the central bank ain't giving out money. They're giving out the money in their currency to the banks. So why not just do that with everybody instead of going to the banks? Again, cut the middleman out. Man. It's cheaper because that's how banks make money. It says a bank makes money as well. The percentages, interest. That's why you think they charge you interest on your loans, because the bank needs to make money because they're getting the money loaned to them from the central bank. Yeah, it all adds up once you start realizing how the system actually works, man. And then it makes even more perfect sense when you read the scriptures.
Hey, can I get this real quick? Back you up.
I think brother has a little more on
I'll
that.
just finish this. All right. Verse 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. You know, going to the MOTB, man, because the scripture said he had the power, you know, to give life unto the beast. You know, Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. That's why he's able to, you know, remove the gold standard and then give you a federal debt note. That's why he's able to implement the CHIP, because he has that power to do so, and that power is given to him from on high.
Yeah, and remember, they did a test run, not even through the banks. They did a test run through the WHO, who and where is he? If you know what I'm talking about. All right. So, and the WHO don't run the world. You don't go to the WHO for your paycheck, do you? Or you know what I'm getting at. Well, the banks, guess what? They're all centralized, so to say, central banks. And guess what? They're all owned by the same devils. The whole handful of crusty, pasty devils. Whether it's in China, whether it's in America, or whether it's in Zimbabwe, all them countries got to go to the central bank of such and such, you know. And it's all ties back to the main elites, whether it be the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Oppenheimers. It all ties back to them devils, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, and going to that, those lockdowns, you know, which was going to that test run, you know, they did that on purpose because they knew with the economy shut down, this country would never make the money back. That was lent out. You know, that's why going to government bailouts, you know, Congress received such and such
stimulus checks.
Stimulus checks. Where do you think that money came from? It came from the Fed. And the Fed that we're going to is controlled by the elite central bankers. So they're going to say no more lending out unless you get this new CBDC.
Exactly. And remember what, we know for a fact that America is what 30 trillion now, or 28 trillion, something like that, 29 trillion in debt. To who? It ain't China. China's buying property up, but it ain't. America's not in debt to them. So you got to ask yourself, what happens when you go into default? Let's say you can't pay your car no more, right? You go to default. What happens? They come get that bitch. They repossess it. You got a mortgage. You default on it. What happens? You lose your house. So what is about to happen to America? And all this, they're gonna have to default because they can't pay back them loans and the debt they're in. So what's gonna happen? They're gonna default onto the elites. Everything's gonna be a one world government by default because everybody got to default to them, man.
They're all the bankers.
It's fucking crystal clear once you start to realize how the system works, man. I'm like, I was watching that documentary. I was like, damn, this shit. If you know the scriptures, man, this shit makes perfect sense. You know, people watch that and understand money and learn how to make more money, but I'm looking at this like, damn, no wonder Babylon going down.
Take ball for that.
America's late on payments, man. That's it. They're not making payments at this point. So eventually they're gonna have to default, and who's gonna default to? Well, the elite, because the elite is not at the White House. Joe Biden ain't part of the elite, man. He's just part. He's a lower level, of course, luminary, so to say. You know, he's on probably like 3 totem poles down. But what about the 3 totem poles up? Shit, that these niggas are just giving out money. And these niggas gonna have to default to them? Because think about it, and the elites, they become even richer during the time of war. Then what are we living in? The time of war, man. Pursuing Ecclesiastes chapter 3. This is a time of war, man. You know, elites always, they say, never let a crisis go to waste, man. When blood running through the streets, that's when they cash in. Because what? Again, I mentioned earlier, just like when you go to the bank and get a loan, you become in debt, and they just print money out of thin air. Was same thing with the banks and these governments. They go to the central banks, they'll print money out of thin air to give to them because they run the world, and now you in debt to them. So so exactly that goes to show you who's in debt, which is Amalek. You know, the small headers.
Can I get this real quick? Job 9:24. But this word here I want to get. Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. This word here for given, it says to give, bestow, grant, permit, ascribe, employ. You see, devote, consecrate, dedicate, pay wages. See, sell, exchange, lend, commit, entrust, give over, deliver up, yield, produce, occasions, produce. All right, but the point is what? It says employ, man. So Esau, Edom, he was given the task over the earth right now, man. You see? Once again, Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Okay, he covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? But the point is, he's been employed, man. You see? And it's nothing nobody can do about it. We have to wait for Yahweh Shemel Shah to move this man out of the way, you know? His whole currency, his whole system, You see, it has to be, or the scripture say, only he that letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. So the Most High has to remove this man in his system. You see, there's nothing nobody can do. You see, because if it was up to Esau, Edom, he would dominate, man. You know.
Yeah, it's a quick proverb. It's Proverbs 22. Proverbs 22 verse 7 says, "The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender." You know, so the rich rule over the poor. How does he stay on top? Is he always has you in debt. You know, going to the point. You know, this doesn't just start with you. You know, in your everyday bills and paying tax and things of that nature. It goes all the way up to even sovereign, so to say, governments. You know, so-called America is always going to be servants to the central banks because they're always in debt. You know, and that's how this whole system is run, is ran off debt. Because if you thinking, damn, I can never catch back on my feet, I can never get back for break even, is because the system is set up for you to always be backwards. You know, and that's why it says, in Proverbs 31st chapter, we're talking about a woman, but going to a little bit deeper, it says favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain. You know, so pretty much going into, it's not as always as it seems. Favor going into kindness. You know, the devil say, "Oh, here you go. Here's a nice house, $100,000. Just put down 20. And that's going into favor. Thank you for the nice house, but now guess what? You got a mortgage now. And what does that word mortgage mean? It means a death note.
Yeah, that's the biggest scam that Esau got going, and the biggest debt creator.
Yes.
But say you just give this amount of percentage, we'll give you a house, but then you're in debt this much. And plus, they don't take in consideration as far as inflation. They don't consider the housing market part of inflation. So really, they saying like inflation in America is like 11%, whatever it is right now. That's not considering the housing market, which what led to the 2008 recession. The housing market was mainly that because look, let's say in 2018 your house was worth $150,000. Now it's worth $400,000. That's inflation, because the cost of it has went up, but they don't consider that inflation. They don't add that into it when they take in the economists take in that number and create 10%. But that's the biggest part of it, because because who's paying for that? Who's paying for all these neighborhoods where I live out here? Y'all see how much shit they building? Why? Because who's getting paid off of that? The banks. They just giving out loans. All right, go to Leonard Homes, Lennox Homes, go build a whole neighborhood. Right. Hey, we don't care if y'all sell the houses or not. We still get paid. The bank still gets paid whether the houses are sold or not. So it's all bullshit, man.
And that's why it'll never be free, because of those contracts. Yep. That's why the saying goes, the devil's in the details. Every thin line, you're not reading that damn contract.
Exactly.
And then that verbiage is pretty much saying your life is mine.
Yeah, it's all legal terms that you don't understand. And let's say they do sell the homes. Well, guess what? You still in the same boat. Whoever buys that home is in the same boat.
Tied, man. You tied to a contract. You tied to contracts.
And they can take it home at any time they please.
Hey, Michael, can you read that again? I got this word.
Because like it real quick, because that's the shit. That's why they make so much money off of homes and buildings, or real estate, so to say. Because what they know it's a win-win situation for the bank. Because they can sell it to you, and if you don't pay or default on it, they'll take it right back. And they'll sell it to the next nigga. And if you don't pay, they'll take it right back. So there's a win-win for the banks to build and sell homes. That's why real estate is so profitable. That's why a lot of people say, "Oh, get in real estate." Well, they need money to get in real estate, first of all, but there's loopholes. Which is not the video for that, but
really what you saying, Doc, is it's a scam. Dog. Esau's a scam, bro.
And Esau don't tell Jake. Obviously, Esau don't share his secrets, man. Yeah. But Jake was starting to catch on. There's certain Jakes that caught on to this shit. I'm like, shit, they getting paid now for that real estate shit. But it's a scam. That's all it is, man. Once you own property, and if you own it, so to say, you just paid off or whatever, you can make money. You getting it's passive income, as they say.
You're just getting up, but that's why Babylon got to be destroyed. You just getting one up over somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
It's no profit in building, There's no building for Jake, man. He's just getting one up over Jake.
Oh, Jake gonna build it all right. They ain't gonna live in it though. Cause them apartment complexes, the whole subdivision is built by Jake.
No problem.
They can't afford to live there though.
Can you read that precept real quick? I just want to get this word here in etymology.
Yeah, Proverbs 22 verse 7, it says, the rich with over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender.
Yeah,
That's called debt, man. Borrower. When you go to the bank, you borrow money. What did you take out a loan, which is debt? Which they get. They don't have that money in the bank. It's not like no. They just put some numbers in the computer and just make it out of thin air, man. Because again, remember the bank you go to is not operating on the same bank that they go to. So your fiat currency is useless to the central bank. It doesn't exist to the central bank. Central bank pays or gives the money or the loan, so to say, to your bank. So when you go ask for 20 grand, they just print that. Not even print it. They just put some numbers in and add it to your account.
Now you're in debt.
And now you're in debt. And that's now they just added 20 grand to the system. Because they know you're not just gonna hold on to that. You're gonna go spend that money. That's why you got the loan for. Maybe it's for a house, maybe it's for a car, maybe it's to pay off other loans. Who knows? But nonetheless, they just added 20 more grand to the system. That didn't exist. Money is a joke. Well, this money anyway, because we understand, we know what true currency is, man. It's resource, gold, silver, and most importantly, truth, obviously. But we're talking about when you can't go to the grocery store and tell them you know the truth and walk out with some groceries. Go ahead, you have more on that?
You wanted to read it?
Read it real quick. Just get this word here.
Proverbs 22 verse 7, the rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender.
The borrower is servant to the lender. This is debt in the etymology, 1300s. Daddy. It says anything owed or due from one person to another. A liability or obligation to pay or render something to another.
It said liability. That's why banks are inclined to give you a loan for certain things, and they're not inclined to give you a loan for certain things, depending on your credit, depending on what the loan's for, because it's a liability.
Yeah.
Real estate is one of the lowest liabilities because they know, all right, well, if this nigga don't pay, we can take it from him and we're gonna sell it again. So that's a low liability. If you wanted you want a car or something, or just a personal loan, higher liability. So they're less likely to give you the loan, less likely to print money out of thin air because they know they won't get that money back. Because that's what the loan's for. They want you to pay. They're gonna type it into the system to make it out of thin air, but they want you to physically pay them that money back. It's all a scheme, man.
The last part, it says meaning, jumping down, meaning, quote, state of being under obligation to make payment.
Yeah, you're obligated, because if not, you're gonna lose what you got the money for.
You're obliged,
And that goes into him trying to collect the Most High.
Yeah.
He wants everybody in debt under him, so they have to worship and beg him for forgiveness and
It's
mercy.
called slavery.
Exactly.
That's what it is. It's called servitude. Yeah. And they're doing it financially now. Because if you're in debt, you're in slavery, man. Because you somebody owns you, pretty much. Somebody owns whatever. They might not own you per se, which they do, if you work or whatever. But whatever you own, they own. Because how you buy that? The rocketmortgage.com or inflation budget. How you gonna get that? Well, you gotta go to the end to get it. And if you don't pay it back, they'll take it from you. You fall late on them payments, they'll take it from you. That's you getting your ass whooped by the slave master.
And like Apostle Cabal was always going to that social security number, As soon as you're born, you come into debt. And that's how you know we under the curses, because when you go into Deuteronomy, it said that we should lend unto the other nations. But since we under the curses, now we at the ass end of it.
You shall go to the enemy for the one of all things. And guess what? The one of all things come through financial means in this world we're living in. This is in fucking 1024 AD or 32 BC. You need money to do anything in America.
Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 3, I'm gonna read down. It says, behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. With thy wisdom and with thy understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches, and hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasures. You see, so pretty much, the Lord, he gave Esau, the understanding, the wisdom to conquer these nations. You know what I'm saying? Because when you look at how Esau rules the world, it ain't just by the military. He have been more wittier than all these other nations, man, into the finances, into the trades, into the NATO and the EU, the strategic, strongholds that he have on these nations.
And that's how he really conquered the world, through the finances. Because he realized, look, I conquered the world with the sword. But if this is going on in the 1700s. Esau started realizing, shit, everybody got to come to the bank to get to fund wars, to do this. Everybody got to go to the money source. So let me be the source.
Right.
Esau figured that shit out. He was like, all right, well, shit. Now he don't care who, if you Arab or Chinaman or African man.
Even his own people.
Even his own people.
He went in that circle.
Yeah.
He went in that circle, bro. That congregation, bro.
You think the Rothschilds worrying about checking their bank accounts? You think they even buy anything? Shit. They don't deal with money. Shit. Yeah, they don't deal with money. Come on, man. But that was the best way for them to conquer the earth, because now they can control everything. Or we can fund the wars. We can say, look, we want you to go to war with them. Here's the money. Oh, I want to go to war with them. Nah, we're not with that. How you gonna go to war? How you gonna get funded if they not with it? If the banks ain't with it, then what you gonna do? Just like you want to start a business, if the bank ain't with it, then you ain't starting that business. That's how simple it gets, man. Esau, Edom, like Brother read in Job 9:24. How is the earth given into the hands of the wicked? Because he is taking over the financial monetary system. He made money. He's created money. While he was gathering all the gold and the actual true monetary system, the real money, he was printing fake dollar bills for your punk ass that you can go over there and simp out for and be a demon for. This nigga's over here gathering the real resources, including you. Because people is the ultimate resource, but this nigga, he's fooled you all to think paper is money. Piece of paper is money. A piece of paper. Yeah.
That's really his 18th chapter. It says, for by thy sources where the nations deceive. That piece of paper that's deception.
Yeah.
Whether you know it or not, that's a high vibration on that piece of paper.
That's right.
But you see what people are doing for that.
Yeah, because this is a special kind of paper they print it on too. It's not just like paper you buy at the grocery store, for your printer. And it's a certain kind of ink. So all that shit's witchcraft. That paper, I forgot. It's parchment paper or some shit. I can't remember the exact name. Not parchment paper. That's shit for the kitchen. But there's a term for the actual paper they use, and then the ink they use is a certain kind of ink. That's why you can't just make money, in your garage.
Witchcraft.
It's all witchcraft, bro.
Damn.
And then going even deeper, all the designs and shit. It's
Latin.
Latin. Yeah,
You
come
watch
on, man.
scary movies and demons be speaking in Latin.
Mhm.
Speaking backwards.
Pig Latin, as they say. You have more than that?
Yeah.
Or?
Like in
Yeah, we'll
Ezekiel
close out with-
chapter 28, verse 5, it says, by thy great wisdom and by thy traffic hast thou increased thy riches, and thy heart is lifted up because of thy riches.
Traffic. That's a key word.
What?
When you in traffic, look that word up.
It's a commerce.
Yeah, you guess they get the etymology or the blue letter.
Kind of got it right here.
That's why you gotta know words and things, because there's ways you can get away or get around certain fees and shit when you even go to the DMV. Because this is not you can say it's not you can say it's personal vehicle, it's not for commerce use, or it's not for traffic. I forgot the exact terms they use, but there's ways around Esau's system. He knows that. That's why he uses certain words.
That's why he created the system.
Exactly.
Ultimately,
This is the beast system we live in. Shit.
The trap J,
Yeah.
man.
Go ahead, over.
Kind of says merchandise, traffic, trade.
Trade. So it's pretty much, in other words, a modern day terms, commerce.
Commerce, yeah.
Commercial vehicles. That's traffic. But people don't know that, so they get got at the DMV.
Right. It was beautiful that you said that, because basically, that's why he writing you these tickets and charging these fees, for registration, so on
Motor
and so
vehicle.
forth. Yep.
Department of Motor Vehicle.
Traffic going into basically you traveling to trade So basically, he's saying you making money on his roads.
Right.
So you
So
got
he can
to
find you.
exactly. You got to pay your tribute.
Yeah.
You know?
Same with internet too.
Yep.
Okay.
Say it tolls all that.
Mhm.
If you know the key, you can get around all that, man. Which we don't. We're not promoting to try to do anything. Which if you know what you're doing, then go ahead. Shit. But don't get caught. Shit. Cause Esau ain't stupid either. Shit.
Right.
But what else was on there? That was it.
Yeah, that was pretty much on that on the blue letter. All right, back in Ezekiel chapter 28, verse
It's
6.
like the word. I think the word is vehicle. I think I can't remember. I remember looking it up years ago. But it's like vehicle and then damn, it's like commercial. Nah, it's vehicle and transportation. Some shit like that. It's two different meanings
All right.
for particular things. But they just write it off all as commercial vehicles, so they can get you, can tax you. Purposely, yeah. Unless you know what you're talking about, they're gonna write it off all on one.
Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 6, it says, Therefore thus saith the Lord power, because thou hast set thy heart as the heart of the Most High. Behold, therefore I will bring strangers upon thee, the terrible of the nations, and they shall draw their swords against the beauty of thy wisdom, and they shall defile thy brightness. Basically going into, the spirits of Esau being uncovered, because now all these other nations are on to him. Verse 8.
Yeah, because they realize, they're like, man, this motherfucker, we're not just talking about America, which America's being the targeted, but eventually all the nations will be like, man, Esau was the problem the whole time.
Yeah.
Because as is happening now, the rulers of the society, so to say, are being exposed. So the nations are gonna be like, man, you know what? Kanye is right. I do gotta go to that nigga to do this and do that.
Yeah, able to back you up. Isaiah 14, it says, is this the man? The nations are going to come to that realization, like, damn, this, what's that Proverbs where it says, when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. So people are going to come to the realization that this devil is the reason why everybody fucked up, bro.
He's the corporate.
He's a cancer, dog. We got to get rid of this dude, man. But the only person that can, what's that, 2 Thessalonians? Only he that will let until he be taken out of the way. The Most High gotta move this dude, man.
Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 8. They shall bring thee down to the pit, and thou shalt die the deaths of them that are slain in the midst of the seas, without yet say before him that slayeth thee, I am the Most High. But thou shalt be a man, and no God, in the hand of him that slayeth thee. Thou shalt die the deaths of the uncircumcised by the hand of strangers, for I have spoken it, saith the Lord Yahweh. So pretty much, man, Esau, Edom, the Lord gave him this power, to deceive and to tell you in Revelation the 17th chapter that these other nations gave Esau their kingdoms until, the word of the Most High be fulfilled. So pretty much we living at the end, where Esau, Edom is being fulfilled. He has reached his boundaries, and these other nations are being gathered. That's another reason why the dollar is quickly spiraling out of control, because these other nations, are being raised up. Going into the BRICS nations, the certain tariffs and sanctions, now they trading in their own, in the ruble, so on and so forth. Because basically that government, that power that's behind the dollar has been pushing America. But now it's to the point these other nations, they ain't scared. They ready to go to war, and it's ultimately, the Lord in the midst, crashing this place.
Because that's what happened back when after World War II, when they moved all the gold, they moved all the gold from England to Fort Knox. That's when America became the powerhouse, and that's when they became the global, money system, so to say. You had to use their money. It was because they moved the gold from from London, England, which is a city-state London, but to Fort Knox. And then not too long after that, they took away the gold standard. But now that doesn't matter because there is no gold standard. So the nations, they're doing like Brother mentioned, the BRIC nations, they're coming together. Say fuck their money. Now the strong money right now is the ruble. Even it's not stronger than the U.S. dollar as of yet, but it's picking up speed because look what's going on with the euro, the British pound. That shit is less than $1 now.
Mm-hmm.
Now you get one euro, gives you 1 point $1.20 or something like that. I checked it a couple days ago. So the euro's through, and the ruble is still going up. All them sanctions that Biden, Sleepy Joe put on Russia has backfired. It's just making the ruble stronger. And even Saudi Arabia is ditching America, man. Which that was their number one ally in the Middle East. You have more on that though?
No, that was it.
We're gonna close out on this.
Yep, Con, this is Job 18 and right to the point, verse 10. The snare is laid for him in the way. A trap for him in the way. Terror shall make him afraid on every side and shall drive him to his feet. Yeah, this devil is terrified, man. Esau Edom, bro. The snare is laid for him on every side, man. We talking about the elites. See regular devils, man. You know, everything is being made up to come into the fulfillment of prophecy, man. All right, on all aspects, whether it's World War III, okay, the house of David being raised up, okay, the sedition, bro. You are afraid, man. You see, it says, verse 13, it shall devour the strength of his skin, even the firstborn of death shall devour his strength. His confidence shall be rooted out of his tabernacle. Yeah, you devils. Okay, you don't have any confidence anymore. That's Isaiah the 47th chapter, man. Okay, you calling on these sorcerers, man, to put up these sacrifices, man. You see, to call on these gods, man. But you're not getting that same enchant that you were getting when America was established, right? You see, it says, and it shall bring him to the king of terrors, and that's the point. Esau Edom is getting ready to be brought to the king of terror. So we don't have anything to be afraid of, no worrying about, man. You see, you devils are getting brought to your day. All right, pursuing what's that? Proverbs 16. Okay, the Lord hath made all things for himself. Yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. So Esau Edom has a date with destiny. He has a date with his maker, man. So the Lord is building you up to meet the king of terror. Since you feel like you're that God, well, the Lord is getting ready to terrify you, devil, man. You see what I'm saying? And everything is being made up to a fulfilling prophecy, man. You devils finna shoot these missiles off on yourself, going to the underground bunkers, man. The elect is being raised up, and hey, man, it's time to for the beginning of it that followeth, man, to pursue. All right, okay.
Yeah, and ultimately the elites are beefing with each other. You know, that's what it's not new. Just like during the time of the Greeks, you know, once Alexander left, they were beefing with each other. Well, the same shit happened again. Those Lee families beefing with each other. So this bank's supplying money to Russia. This bank is supplying Russia to America. That's like supplying money to America. So the house divided cannot stand, man. So they're divided against each other, beefing, trying to get. I want more power. I want not because they're greedy. Esau's a greedy asshole. So that's the outcome of it, man. But you close that out.
Hey, Lord willing, you was edified, listening, all right, to what the Spirit was saying, showing you guys that we are at the end. We're at the times of the Lord bringing all this, to an hope. All right, so hey, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. We want to give all honors and praises to
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Kakwadash.
Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who taught us his truth and who rule well. Peace and safety and salutations out there to you sincere, and you hope for elect, scattered abroad. Shalom.
Shalom.